So
Cool.
we'll get started in just a minute. Let's get everything updated here. Make sure that the live stream is going. Make sure I have my coffee.
Exactly.
Oh man, I got my coffee. My big mug is out in the car. So
Ah.
good morning, Andrea.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. Here we are again, another Tuesday. Last week I was out in Wyoming, and I got home, well, I guess 5 hours ago.
Yep, big trip.
Yep. Unsuccessful hunting trip, but I had fun.
Well, that's the main point.
Yep. I tried doing hunting a little bit different this year out there. I used a bicycle.
I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit different, and because sometimes, even though my leg does pretty good after my motorcycle accident, it's been 13 years since my accident, and even though my leg does pretty good, um, I still can't walk long distances. So I picked up a bicycle, an electric bicycle,
Uh-huh.
and it's not like it's. I mean, I tease people and say it's like electric motorcycle, but it's not. You still have to pedal it.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can put it on an assist mode that it'll help pull you up those hills that normally you wouldn't be able to, wouldn't be able to walk up them. And the distances that I could go, and I could cover the ground just as fast as a person with normal legs.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
One day you'll have some kind of anti-gravity pack and you can use that.
Yeah, my brother told me. He said I should just get those bionic leg things that you strap on your legs, and it uses the bionics rather than your own body. And I'm like, well, that's an idea too. The bicycle was cheaper, and I know this call isn't about bicycles or electric bicycles, but I was so impressed with what it was able to help me do, that if you know somebody that's suffering from arthritis in the knees or hips or ankles or anything like that, if they've had back surgery, um, I really think this electric bicycle is going to be part of the rehab.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because I noticed for me, my leg feels better since I started using it, because as you're pedaling, it evens out the pace from the left to the right leg, so it makes it so
Uh-huh.
it works better. Yeah. So I actually
Cool.
became a dealer for the company. I enjoyed it that much.
Awesome.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to find out more, but Andrew, today we were talking about a little bit about aging and slowing the aging process down. What an interesting topic.
It's my favorite topic.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm older than you. So I'm looking at that a little stronger than you are.
So they're saying that if you can get your blood pressure under control, you can gain up to 5 years of life just by keeping just that one thing, just keeping your blood pressure under control.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
yeah, yeah. So I just jotted some things down because I thought it was interesting. So they took the what they called the Framingham Heart Study,
Okay.
and prior to the Framingham Heart Study, they never really had a good study over a long period of time that indicated how much blood pressure does affect your lifespan.
Okay.
And from that, they said that elevated blood pressure, controlling elevated blood pressure, it's one of the most major modifiable risk factors that there are.
Meaning you can change it.
Meaning that if you change it, you can increase your lifespan. It's one of the best things that you can do. Yeah. So the study compared um, people with blood pressure of 120 over 80, which is considered to be, the norm, right?
Hmm.
And they compared those people to people who had blood pressure of 140 over 90, and they found that the people that had blood pressure of 120 over 80 tended to live 5 years longer than the people that were 140 over 90.
Well, that's one way to live longer.
Yeah. So, if we're going to talk about anti-aging, so here's another study. Excuse me. It comes from the World Health Organization. And the World Health Organization, they said that um, if you have systolic blood pressure, that's the upper number,
Mm-hmm.
the 120 or the 140 or whatever. Um, they said that if you have suboptimal systolic blood pressure, it increases your risk of cerebral vascular disease, which is stroke,
Right.
by increases your risk by 62%.
Wow.
Yeah, increases your risk of coronary heart disease by 49%. So I mean, so you have 50% chance of living longer, just keeping your blood pressure under control. November 2019, this was a study that was presented at the American Heart Association meeting last, about a year ago. And so they said that if you start controlling your blood pressure when you're 40, you gain that 5 years. If you wait until you're 50, you only gain three. If you wait until you're 65, you only gain one. If you wait until you're 80, you only gain 10 months.
Mm. Well, that pretty much lines up with, a lot of other things we've talked about, that the older you get, the less repair functionality you have.
Yeah. So I thought it was really fitting with what we're talking about today. It fits in with the whole thing about talking about anti-aging and stem cells and telomeres and all these different things and
Mm-hmm.
senescence. It fits in with all that because it that's what they said. I mean, I remember Tom Senior. He told us, didn't he say that stem cells, the number of stem cells, active stem cells in your body, significantly goes down when you turn 50.
Oh, yeah. I think by age 70, you only have 2% stem cell activity left.
Yeah, yeah, because when you're 20, I mean, I remember the numbers that Tom gave us, and I confirmed. I went and looked it up. But when you're under the age of 20, you have like one stem cell for every was it 10,000 or 20,000 cells?
I don't remember that statistic.
But something like that. Let's just say it's 20,000. We'll give benefit of
Mm.
doubt. One stem cell for every 20,000 regular cells. By the time you're 50, that number has gone down to one stem cell for approximately every 500,000 cells. And by the time you're 80, that number has gone down for one stem cell for every 2 million cells.
Yep.
So, and then you talk about senescence and how your cells, and tell people a little bit, what is senescence? When we talk about senescence, when a cell goes into senescence, what are we really saying?
Well, there's a whole new medical field called senolytics out there, and tons is the fastest growing medical field right now because they've discovered that when our stem cells turn into what I call a zombie state or a senescent state, it stays in the body. It's not really functioning correctly. It doesn't die off, which it should do. Like it should die off. And if you were much younger, it would die off faster, but it doesn't because you kind of lose your ability to eliminate them as well. And they give off toxins to the cells around them that create havoc. So when I say zombie, I didn't make that up. I saw that on scientific papers out there
Right?
or articles where they call it zombie because I mean, I watched a whole afternoon of zombie movies with my grandkids once. And these zombies walk around, they're not alive, they're not dead, but they're killing everything. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, they're
And
they're
as we
creating
age, we have more.
yeah they're creating chaos, and they're causing all sorts of things. One of the primary things is they cause inflammation.
Right. Which
Inflammation.
is, we know, a big contributor to all disease.
Yeah, it's one of the major contributing factors for all chronic disease. And so that's one good reason right there. So I was trying to come up with a scenario and of how to get it so people can think about it. So think about in your body, and I hope this makes sense, Andrew. You tell me if it makes sense. If it makes sense, I'll use it as an analogy. If it doesn't make sense, I won't ever use this analogy again, okay? And be honest
Okay.
with me. All right? So, what's your favorite song?
My favorite song?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Uh, let's just make one up. Amazing Grace. Let's just say that.
Okay. So, let's say that you're listening to your favorite song, you're listening to Amazing Grace, and all of a sudden, over here on the side, I start playing the Star Spangled Banner,
Okay.
and I play it loudly so that it interrupts your thinking. What's that gonna do to you?
It's going to distract me from my favorite song.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, your brain is thinking about, oh my God, why doesn't he shut that off? Why doesn't he turn that down?
Mm-hmm.
Or what if I just sit there and I don't play a song? I just pound on the table like this,
Kick you out of the house.
right? But in essence, that's what senescence does.
Draws attention to itself as it destroys things.
Yeah, so it's distracting. It's distracting your body. So just like your brain would be distracted from what I'm saying because what's that pounding? Why is he pounding on the table like that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so your immune system goes over to check it out.
Uh-huh.
Goes over to check out, who's playing that other music. We're listening to this music over here. You're kind of interrupting our party. And so that's what happens. And all of a sudden your immune system gets more interested in resolving that pounding or that extra background sound, right?
So it's sending your immune system on a goose chase.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's got to fix it because it's if it doesn't fix it, eventually the senescent cells take over and it speeds up the aging process. Does that kind of make sense? I mean, can you picture that just to get an idea, when you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to get people to understand senescence because it can be a difficult topic for some people to understand.
Right. Well, I don't know, just the fact that they give off these toxins and affect cells around them. And then what was the statistic? By the time you're 40, half your stem cells are in senescence.
Yep. Something like that.
Think
Yeah.
about that. Half your stem cells that are supposed to be actively repairing you are giving off toxins. I mean, that's
Yep.
what blows my mind. I'm like, get them out of there.
So put that together with the other statistic that I just shared with you today that you want to get your blood pressure under control by the time before you're 50,
Right?
right? So you have your stem cells going into senescence. You have more active stem cells. All these different things before the age of 50. You want to get your blood pressure under control by the age of 50, and if you don't, it's not as significant of an impact on your life. You still want to do it because who wouldn't want to gain an
Mm-hmm.
extra, 10 months, but it's not going to have as high of an impact. So you want to fix it while you still have all those active stem cells before your cells are going into this state of senescence.
Right.
So anyhow, I just kind of was trying to throw that out there, and because the important thing is that we can sit here and go yak 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 blah 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 blah, and we can talk about all the science, we can throw all these studies at people, and does it really matter? I mean, if I just told you, hey, this Framingham study, this is what it shows, Andrea. You're going to leave here today and you're going to go, well, how does that affect my life?
Well,
But
it
what
should.
But what if we could show you how to put it to effective use so that you can actually gain those 5 years?
Okay. Let's go
You
there.
know, let's put the 5 years on the end of your life. So if you follow your current lifestyle and you're going to make it to so let's say the age of 80, and and uh, and we could say, hey, let me show you a few things, and now we can help you possibly live to 85 instead of 80. Wouldn't that make a healthy 5 years? Because who cares if you're
Right.
alive if you're
Right.
laying in a bed? and you're not actively
Exactly.
functioning. That's the whole thing. Is that a lot of people, like I remember my son told me that years ago when he was just like probably. I think he was 12 at the time. My son that's in medical school now. He said, Dad, he said, why do you want to live to be so old? Why do you want to live to be 110? At that time, it was 110. He said, why do you want to live to be 110? He said, old people just get sick.
Old people get wiser and they want to see their great great grandchildren.
That's what I figure is that I have, I mean, it's the elders of the tribe that really can pass on the knowledge of the stories. I remember I was hanging around with some of my friends out in Montana, out in the Flathead Reservation out there, and they were telling me the stories of how the elders would, sit around and around the campfires at night. They would tell these stories, and and how they would tell the stories of even like from way back in the 1800s. Some of the older
Hmm.
ones were around. Like the story of the General Custer, that whole disaster. And
Stories are important. That's how tribes and generations of people have passed down history through the years.
but it's
That's how they
amazing.
passed it down before they could write it down.
It's amazing. Yeah, right. They used to pass it, and they'd
Hmm.
sit around the fire, and they'd tell the story so many times that pretty soon, you'd know my story, and then
Hmm.
you'd pass it on to your kids, and they'd know the story, and that's how it passed on. But it's amazing how today we don't pay attention to a lot of the history. We, you know, some groups want to erase history. It's, pretend like it never happened.
Right.
I mean, like we want to know the history that hey, look, 100 years ago they used to spray apple orchards with arsenic. They found that it was a pesticide and it killed the bugs that destroyed an apple orchard. So they'd spray arsenic. Well, don't you think that's important for us to pass on that history,
Definitely. We don't
right?
want to eat arsenic.
We don't want people doing that again, and that's the whole thing about history. So,
Hmm.
anyhow, we're getting kind of off topic a little bit, but so when you look at your body, when you're young, you have lots of these stem cells, and they're repairing, and everything is just hunky dory, and it's you're healthy. You damage a cell, the immune system goes in there, repairs it, or if it's beyond repair, get out of here, right?
Right.
And that's how it works. And then you have certain cells that the stem cells that actually are the ones that like if you're playing musical chairs, it's the ones that takes the seat when the one guy gets thrown out.
Hmm.
And it can turn into like a stem cell can turn into a heart cell or a shoulder, or a knee or whatever. It differentiates itself into that cell, and I'm trying to make this easy for everybody to understand. So you can see when you're young, that's why you heal up really, really good, but when you get older, you tend not to. And so inside the cells, there's like this little fuse. It's the telomeres, and so the cells they only have so many times that they can divide and produce new cells. So you have one cell that becomes two cells, and two cells become four, and so on and so forth like that. But after they divided so many times, there's a little tiny fuse that said, "Hey, you divided enough times now. We're
You're
gonna we're
done.
gonna you're done. You're out of here. Get out of here." Right? And
Yep.
and so these that's the telomeres. And so back in 2009, they found that, or the Nobel Prize was given to a group of scientists because they found that hey, we can take and we can enhance that telomere activity.
Right.
And by enhancing the telomere activity to telomerase, which is an enzyme, they found that they can extend the life of the cell. And so that was really cool. And
Yeah.
they found certain ingredients like curcumins and even vitamin C and omega threes to a certain extent help with the telomeres. But they
Yep.
found ingredients from these exotic plants like astragalus and Bacopa really enhanced the telomeres.
Yep. Gives them a lot of support.
And like we were talking about the other day, a week ago already, um, I think we talked about it a week ago. We talk about this topic a lot, but about an astragalus, if you take an astragalus extract and you have, you know, the amount equal to the size of an elephant approximately. Do you remember how much
Yeah.
that yields as far as the
I was
real
like
active?
2.4 something or other, the size of a loaf of bread.
About the size of a loaf of bread. So you take the size of an elephant and you reduce it down to the real actives. So a lot of companies, when they saw this Nobel Prize stuff, they grabbed some astragalus, just the whole plant extract, and they said, well, we'll put it in our vitamin.
Right.
You know,
Dump a little bit in there. Call it good.
yeah. Well, they take the non-concentrated formulation and they put it in there.
Right.
It just doesn't do the same thing. It doesn't do the work of the cycloastragalonol and the other astragalosides. And I was having this discussion with a friend of mine down in California because he takes a product that uses just a pinch, just a pinch of it, right? And and I said, well, in comparison, we use 3 pinches,
Right.
you know. Plus we put in, well, when I say we, I'm talking about our company, the company that you and I represent. They put in therapeutic dosages of these different things. Now, we can't make any medical claims. All we can say is that it supports a healthy telomere activity.
Yeah, and it's all based on the research.
Hmm. It's all based on the research,
Not
but
like we dreamed this stuff up.
yeah, I didn't wake up in the middle of the night and go, ha ha.
You wish you had.
I wish I had, yeah. But so now in theory, then, if we can take and we can enhance the telomere activity, now
Hmm.
we can slow down the aging of those cells,
Right.
right?
And the
So,
aging of the telomeres creates senescence.
yep. So when the telomere gets too short and the cell can't divide, your immune system takes that cell and puts it into senescence.
Yep.
So that's the link. That's the link between the two. Now, there's things in life that can speed up the aging process by causing the telomeres to shorten faster, right? We know that
Hmm.
if you have a poor diet, if you eat a lot of processed foods, if you eat a lot of sugar, if you eat a
Hmm.
lot of the wrong foods, you can actually trigger your body um, into making these toxins that cause the cells to go into senescence even faster. You can speed up the aging of the telomeres.
Right.
And so
Smoking, lack of nutrition, lack of sleep, a bad
stress,
environment,
stress
stress.
lifestyle, yeah.
Yep.
And of all of them, did you know that they found stress is the most contributing factor of them all?
Wow.
Stress contributes more, and because stress, it really has no boundaries. I mean, it's a lot harder to control because there's a lot of things that can stress you out. It can be physical stress.
Hmm.
Maybe you fell down the side of the mountain when you're antelope hunting or something like that. Physical stress. you know, you can have chemical stress. Maybe you lived in an area, farming community where you got exposed to you know toxic sprays. Maybe you eat wrong, and then you
Hmm.
have emotional stress. I mean, like right now, I think our world is so emotionally stressed out. Um, and that all contributes to that. And what that does is it damages the DNA in your body. And so we go back to the Nobel Prize that was given to a group of scientists about 20 years ago. Before that, right? That would be, yeah, about 20 years ago, and uh, and in that study, they found that resveratrol helped support SIRT gene activity,
Right. And
sirtuin
that's,
genes.
and they do.
Yeah. And so they found that when you can support proper sirtuin gene activity, again, without getting way into the science and confusing the heck out of everybody, when you can you do that, the SIRT genes are it's a set of genes in your body. I think there's 7 of them, and what they do is they actually repair the damaged DNA.
That's awesome.
So if you could support healthy DNA, then what's going to happen is you're going to have fewer cells. You're going to slow down the the telomere shortening,
Mm-hmm.
and that's gonna enhance aging. So back in the late '90s, I remember it was on the front of Time magazine,
Oh,
and they had a bottle of red wine on there, and they said, "We've discovered the secret to aging." Resveratrol. The red wine prices shot up all across the globe.
yeah. I mean, if you just look up resveratrol, there's so many articles on resveratrol.
Yep. But they found that resveratrol is limited because
Hmm.
you can only because it affects those SIRT genes, and the SIRT genes are actually the ones, the sirtuin gene, that repair the damaged DNA. But they found that that's limited because you need to fuel the process. You need to fuel the process. Like if you're trying to um, melt some metal, and
Hmm.
you have a fire going, but you let it run low on wood or coal or whatever you're using for your fire, you know, pretty soon you're not going to keep that metal molten. You got to keep fueling the fire, and guess what they found fuels that fire
Tell me.
with this search gene, NAD.
Oh, NAD, our favorite thing.
NAD plus, right? So there's the fuel. So you see the link?
Yeah, it's all connected.
It's all connected. You can't, people say, well, what's the one magic bullet? Well, there is no magic bullet. It's all of these things together, all working together. I was watching a video. Well, actually, I wasn't watching. I was listening to it as I was driving down the road last night. Because I can't
Hmm.
watch and drive at the same time. But I was listening to the audio of this video, and this reporter was, I mean, he was kind of, I'm going to say, in a way, he was kind of making fun of people that were doing anti-aging. They were doing things for longevity because he said people are spending a lot of money on it. I mean, like billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. The market is that huge. And I'm thinking, well, that's because you're looking at one thing and you're talking to those people that are promoting one thing.
Hmm.
And you can't do that. You can't just say, "Oh, here's some NAD,"
Right.
and that's not the magic bullet. There is no magic bullet. They all work together. So the NAD is the fuel for the SIRT genes that repairs the DNA. And if you repair the DNA, you slow down the telomere aging. Then you repair the telomeres. Then you take and you support all of that stuff.
Yep.
And you and
So,
all of
for
a
those
sudden,
people who are just tuning into our weekly call here, we probably should do a little explanation of how we increase our NAD.
we'll get into that.
Okay.
We'll get into that. Yeah, because I just want to kind of tell the story, and then we'll go back and kind of have a summary page,
Okay.
right? So so now you got that NAD, but you can't really. Well, you can give injections of NAD. We know a doctor that does that, right? We know of a doctor, Dr. Kim's friend down in Oklahoma. He does NAD infusions.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you're talking. I think I heard $1,000 per injection.
That's crazy.
I mean, and is it worth it? Oh, sure. I mean, I'm guessing it would be. You get the big shot of a boost all at once. It's like having a booster shot. It's like shooting nitrous into your car. All of a sudden, you get explosive action.
But it's
Um,
natural for your body to make NAD if you give it the right stuff to support that.
That's what I was just saying. You hit the nail on the head. So why not increase the body's availability,
Mhm.
bioavailability of the building blocks to put together NAD in the first place, right? And
That's
and
right.
so that to me makes more sense. And now it's affordable. It's something that the average person can do.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, you want to take and you want to give it a good quick kick in the butt so it gets the
Yep.
process going. Then you can slow down how much you have to take because you got the process going and it's all working, everything is working. So some of the major things that they've related to all of these things, number one is heart disease. You know, they found that if you can slow all this stuff down, you can slow down heart disease. Why do they study heart? Why did they study the cardiovascular system so much, Andrea? One
Because it's a
guess.
major disease in our country and our society.
It's the major contributor to death in the Western world, heart
Mm-hmm.
disease, right? And so they found that if you can slow that down, you can make a major, major, major impact on longevity.
Right.
And and what if that's the only thing that everything that we've just spent the last 20 minutes talking about? What if that's all it addresses?
Oh, that would be huge.
It would be huge.
Huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it would save trillions of dollars in the healthcare system.
Yep.
Just
But
that one thing.
there's always a but. The good news is that everything we're addressing actually regenerates all of your body.
That's right. And why is that important?
Well, you would want to regenerate all of your body. You wouldn't want one part going bad and
Right.
supporting another part.
So where I'm going with that question is that scientists have really said that, hey, Andrea, if we only address heart disease, for example, and we
Okay.
eliminate all heart disease, are we really going to have a major impact on longevity? I mean, like a major, major impact. And the answer is no, because now another disease is just going to take over.
Right. And, I think from all of our talks we've had, basically it's the degeneration. Whoops, I lost you. It's the degeneration that causes a disease, but it's all based on what a particular person has that's causing their degeneration, which part of the body it affects.
That's right.
So your degeneration may be arthritis, it may be heart disease, it may be lungs, it may be um, pancreas, it may be kidneys. It's going to affect something based on your own environment, your own exposure to toxins, your own lack of nutrition, things like that. So that's why we have these multiple diseases.
Yep.
Everybody doesn't degenerate in the same way.
It's a syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when they went searching for the cure for heart disease,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then they found there's more of this when they do that. When they went looking for the cure for cancer, all of a sudden you saw more of this. And so the thing is that now we're starting to see that scientists, researchers, researchers in medical research, they're saying, hey, what if we treat aging as the disease?
Yes.
And I know some people don't like me to say that because they've heard people say aging isn't a disease. Well, but what if we treat it as the disease?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the base
Yeah,
of
it covers everything.
all things. It covers everything. Yeah.
It covers everything. So we can't say, like, I can't say, hey, Andrea, take this, you know, and you're going to live to be 120 years old. I heard somebody say that on that video yesterday. I'm like, oh no, you can't. I can't say that. You know that you're going to live to be 120 or 150 years. All I can say is that it's going to impact the way that your body handles aging, and
Mm-hmm.
if you have an impact on that, you're gonna make a huge difference. And
Right.
and so we really have to kind of say it that way. And since aging isn't considered a disease, we can say that it has an impact. All of these things have an impact on aging, and we
Right.
can we can see the things happening. And so, if a person has a really crappy lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say they have really crappy genetics, right? Because that's a contributing factor as well.
Because their parents had a crappy lifestyle.
Yeah, or maybe it has nothing to do with that they had a crappy lifestyle. Chances are with genetics, there's just things that happen that over evolution you might have inherited just some bad genes, you know,
Mm.
and so it's nothing that you did wrong. You just you know, and then you passed them on to your kids and whatnot.
Right.
But so yeah, I don't want people to think that we're pointing fingers and blaming, because there are some genetic stuff, and they say that that's less than 20% of the whole thing, but it's the genetics mixed with the environment that makes the
Okay.
difference. So that's why we're starting to see a lot of people now getting these genetic tests run, because we can take and we can identify the genetics, and then we can say, hey, Andrea, here's what you want to do with your environment to control your genetics.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, there, we can talk about all that stuff. But so let's talk a little bit about sizzle, and
Okay.
and and talk about these different products. So we talked about telomeres, and we talked about the 2009 Nobel
Mm-hmm.
Prize. And so Tom Tom Senior formulated a product called TSX,
Mm-hmm.
and it was
Telomere
really
support.
telomere support extreme. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that was really the product that brought me to Sizzle.
Uh-huh.
Because
Because you've been going to conferences and you knew that information.
hmm
I mean, the average person doesn't know about telomeres.
you'd be surprised though how many people actually know about it. I was when I was down in Australia last February. What was that? 9 months ago now already. Holy cow! But I was sitting there talking to my waiter,
Uh-huh.
and and he said, "Well, he said you sound like a Yankee. What are you doing down here?" And and I told him that I was down here and I was teaching some people about anti-aging. And he said, "Oh, you mean about telomeres and things like that?"
Cool.
And I looked at him like, "Holy crap!" You know, I mean, he knows about telomeres. And so we had a discussion on it. He said, "Oh yeah, blah 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 blah," and he found out
Mhm.
about it, but and he was way into it. And I thought that's interesting. So people are starting to hear the word and they're starting to understand it, and they're starting to say, hey, maybe we can do something about it. So we came up with a product, or Tom came up with a product that uses some of the most powerful telomere supporting, we'll use the proper
Mhm.
terminology, telomere supporting ingredients. And he put in not just you know, he didn't just
Right.
fairy dust it. He actually
Right.
put the whole shebang in there.
Right. And that's what we love about Sizzle.
Yeah. And so in my opinion, and I have to say it this way, in my opinion, we have the most powerful telomere support product on the market. That's my opinion.
Mm. I agree with your opinion.
Yeah. And I've looked at the formulation, and Tom shared the formulation with me. It's not, if you look at the bottle, it just has proprietary formulation, so the average person
Mm-hmm.
can't see it. But and that's what I base my information on. So now we're supporting those telomeres. We've got Eternity, which
Uh-huh.
is another Sizzle product. And Eternity uses resveratrol,
Right.
and not just resveratrol, because most resveratrol is in the wrong form. They use a form of resveratrol that doesn't have the same impact. So they use the wrong form of resveratrol, and then on top of it, like Tom explained to me, is that um, most resveratrol is exposed to oxygen. It oxidizes it, and so it makes it ineffective. You lose
Mm-hmm.
90% of the effectiveness.
Well, that would be a problem, wouldn't it?
So without getting into the entire way that we make our product at Sizzle, I say we because I just feel like, you know, I mean, I'm involved with Sizzle, but Sizzle's in me as well, it's part of
Mm-hmm.
me. And so when you take a look at this product, then it's designed in a way that the resveratrol stays active.
Right. It doesn't oxidize.
It doesn't oxidize because of the way that Tom figured out how to bottle it and the color of the bottle and everything like that has an effect on the effectiveness of the product. So the resveratrol, we're given the equivalent in one little small 1 ounce dosage or 3/4 ounce
Mm-hmm.
dosage. It's a liquid. It tastes great. I think it tastes like a, I mean, almost like a syrup, right? And it probably tastes good on pancakes, by the way. But right? You could mix it in your syrup or into your jelly or something like that. But the resveratrol, it supports that healthy sirtuin gene activity.
Right. Which repairs DNA.
Yep. And 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 so we can we can say that. We can't say that our product does this or it does that, but resveratrol does that, and we have an effective form of resveratrol. And again, the scientists found that NAD is the fuel for resveratrol. And and so what product do we have that helps with that?
Oh, we have the famous age pill,
Yeah, H pill.
anti-glycation extreme.
Yep. And in the beginning, when the product first came out, me included, a lot of us, we start talking about stem cells right away, and we start talking about, oh, it increases stem cell activity and da 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 da. I mean, indirectly it does, but not
Mm-hmm.
directly. It's not like going to Dr. Kim's office and getting a stem cell injection. It's not the same thing.
It's pretty darn close.
Mm, I'm gonna say totally different, but it 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 supports healthy stem cell activity by
Right.
like you said, by removing by helping to the body, so the body can remove the glycation. The pill doesn't remove the glycation.
No.
The pill supports the body's own system that removes that glycation. It supports the system that removes the lipofuscin, and that's the cellular garbage that it's just part of life. It's part of living. Your body makes this stuff, but eventually, it's like having an old car with an old motor.
But as
Eventually,
you age, you can't get rid of the gunk fast enough.
and so the oil filter gets all plugged up, and if you don't change that oil filter, guess what? Bad oil.
Doesn't work as well.
Bad oil, and eventually your motor runs out and it wears out, and your car wears out pretty soon, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing that's happening in your body. So the mitochondria, which is the energy production part of the body, is affected, and all these different things. And again, I'm not going to get way into the science on all that, but they also found, and this has been something that we added just in the last 2 years, is that you can actually increase the energy at the mitochondrial level, and you can support healthy mitochondria activity with H2, with hydrogen.
Yes.
So another
It's a
link of how these products work together.
yes.
And and so hydrogen is really it's the basic molecule of energy. And that's a limiting factor, is that if you don't have enough energy, I don't care how much, you know, how healthy your body is. If you don't have energy, if you don't have the energy to keep the biological processes moving along, it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to work.
Right.
And then finally, I mean, let's just talk about one last product that I really think that we got to throw in. I mean, if we don't talk about this one, we're missing the boat. the product that Tom came up with less than a year ago.
Oh,
Stemolytics.
yeah. Demoletics.
Yeah, and it's
What is,
available again.
yeah, it is. And he designed that with 8 senolytic agents, meaning 8 different natural substances that will
8 of them.
help support the removal of senescent cells in your body.
Yeah. So it helps to some of the stenolytic agents. They support the immune system to remove the senescent cells, but some of the ingredients actually um, some senescent cells they just need a little help to make them to become active healthy cells again. So you can
Oh, right.
actually so you can actually support you know the body's ability to convert those senescent cells out of senescence.
That's good. Yeah, I remember him talking about it's kind of like a rose, and when the rose falls off, you have a little bud there that will grow another rose.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually regrowing a stem cell.
Yeah, yeah, and then on top of that, some of the ingredients actually um, they support your body's ability to prevent your cells from going into senescence in the first place. and uh, and so we're coming at it from different angles, right? All the time, we're coming at that
Mhm.
aging process from all these different angles, and we're converting those cells all the time. We're coming at it different angles
Mhm.
all the time. We're throwing at it different things because we're all, I mean, today I'm in a totally different environment than I was yesterday. Yesterday
Right.
I was riding my bike and I was hunting antelope out in Wyoming. I'm driving up and down these hills, going down little trails. I got my gun with me. I'm out doing that. I mean, 60-mile-an-hour winds, Andrea. 60-mile-an-hour winds blowing
Oh
at me,
my gosh.
and 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 that's when my fatness is at my advantage.
Yeah, you got a little weight to keep on the bike and keep on the
It's
trail.
it's not blowing me over, right? Think of some little skinny guy. Whap! He's down. Not me. Right? I'm just pedaling along.
Yeah, I was at the lake yesterday, and my mother, who's 89, was up there, and the wind was pretty strong because we're only 30 miles from Lake Michigan, and a storm was moving in. And she went out in the yard to do something. She says, "I almost tipped over. I had to get up by the tree."
Right? So now today, here I am. I'm in North Dakota, and it's windy, but it's we're getting just a steady wind. I'm looking outside. We're getting this steady wind. And it's about the same temperature, right around 50, 60 degrees. But totally different thing. Now today, I'm gonna do some yard work, and so I'm in a different environment,
Mm-hmm.
and that affects your body. It affects how your cells go into senescence, and it affects how the stress on your body and all these different things. So we think about that, that we're all part of a bigger picture. So your your cells, you put them in different environments, you put your body in different environments. So we're all, I mean, our body is part of a bigger picture. And this winter, I mean, guess what? This winter, it's gonna be cold again. It's North Dakota.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cold, and we're gonna get snow. And so let me ask you this, and this will be one final thought before we close up for today. But think about this: if you're in an environment like you are in Michigan and like I am here in North Dakota, where you're
Mm-hmm.
getting extremes, you're getting hit by the hot summer, you know, and I mean it gets over 100 degrees here, and then in the winter we get just the opposite. We get 100 below with the wind chill, so we got you know almost a 200-degree temperature change from summer to winter. I mean, you think about that. Is that going to help you live longer, or is it going to shorten your life?
Well, I don't know because I've seen people promote getting really hot and really cold to put a little stress on the body to live longer.
That's right. Yeah. So exactly. So if you can if your body can handle the extremes, I'll just say
Mhm.
the extremes, if you can help support your body so they can handle the extremes, they've actually shown that your body responds by becoming stronger.
Mhm. A little
Isn't
bit of
there?
stress is good. The right kind of stress.
Yeah, isn't there even a Bible verse that says the same thing that whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger?
I don't know about that.
Look that up. That's your homework for today. So Andrea, I'll let you close out the call for everybody. That's our final thought for today, and and I hope that we presented it in a way that you can use this stuff, because if it's not usable information, then it's just blah blah blah, yakety yakety yak.
Right.
So I'll let you
So
close out the call.
thanks, Doc. You presented what, 5 or 6 really great ways that you could extend your health span, live longer, live healthier. So thank you for that. And if you're seeing this on social media, go ahead and share it with people and join us every Tuesday at noon Eastern time, and we'll bring you more pertinent information.
All right. Thanks,
Have a
Andrea.
good day. Bye.